Folks, I have never been great at sitting down and doing a bunch of research to find the right tag in the right state for the right species. That's why I rely on Eastman's Tag Hub. I don't know if you guys have checked it out yet, but Eastman's Tag Hub takes a trusted hunting research you rely on and have for years to a powerful new digital platform. You could jump in there and find the right hunting units in 11 different states and try to find the perfect tag to fit your budget and your goals. It's a great way to cut out all that external research that just gives you a headache, and if you're anything like me, you just don't have the patience for it. Let them do the work for you, and the cool part about Eastman's Tag Hub is it's a monthly payment option. You don't have to pay some big fee to get into it. It starts at like $7 a month. And it gives you access to everything, to include access to the world-famous Eastman's Hunting Journal magazines. It's a great deal, guys. Check it out at taghub.eastmans.com. There exists a threat, from anti-hunting groups to politicians trying to give our land away, and we won't stand for it. Those vast western landscapes provide the space for our wildlife to thrive, and a place for hunters and anglers to fuel the fire that sparks their soul. In this show, we share our love of hunting, fishing, and conservation. Here, we provide the foundation to meet these threats through passion and the grit of the American outdoorsman. Welcome to the Western Huntsman Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this episode of the Western Huntsman Podcast, brought to you by Eastman's Hunting Journals. And I'm coming at you from the Broken Town studio right here in Clark Fork, Idaho. Guys, I'm really excited about this episode. I've got somebody on, and I would say it is not coincidental with the time of year, but I've got somebody on that I've been following for a long time. I've been kind of watching and following his stuff on social media and whatnot for a long time, and he is somebody that is inspiring as a hunter. He's a very successful hunter and somebody who is passionate and loves to share his love for the outdoors. He's a 10 times Grand National Turkey Column champion and probably a lot more accolades. Folks, welcome Chris Parrish. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing wonderful tonight, buddy. How about yourself?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. It is, how can you not be? It is turkey season.
It's that time of year, and, I'm sitting here on, pretty close to my back porch here in Missouri, and there was actually a turkey gobbling about an hour ago out here, and, it's ready. We got about 4 more days, and it's going to open up, and it's ready to go. I'm ready to go.
Oh, so you guys aren't open yet, huh?
No, we open up the 17th. 17th of April is our first day, and we're already finding mushrooms. We had 83 degrees today.
Oh, you're kidding me!
No, it's been absolutely outstanding weather. The fish are biting. It's just it's one of those special times of year for me. I love to hunt mushrooms. I love to catch fish, and I love to turkey hunt. So
yes, sir.
Other than elk hunting and whitetail hunting, you can't get a better time of the year for me.
Man, we are going to have so much to talk about. It's turkey season is only open here for the youth hunters. So I've been taking my daughters. I've only taken them out a couple times, but the problem is, Chris, it's like still winter here in a sense. The snow is melting. We're starting to see the ground. Usually we're hunting for mushrooms right now. That's not happening yet. Last year at this time we had 2 turkeys down. Both my daughters had already tagged out, and we were kind of moving on towards mushroom hunting. And but this year, it's like the winter that won't go away, man. Are you from Missouri originally?
Yes, I am. I've lived in Missouri my whole life. I was born and raised in Parrish, Missouri, which is anybody that's listening from Parish, don't hold this against me, but it's kind of a one-horse town. When at 7:00 at night, the red carpet rolls up and it's done. There's probably, I don't know what the population is now, but when I was a kid growing up, it was about 1,200. So
yeah,
we had about 4 things in the world to do, and 3 of them you know about, which is hunting and fishing and hunting mushrooms and picking up night crawlers at night. And we won't talk about the other one.
It'll just be a secret.
That's right.
So I'm always interested. So that's even. I live currently in kind of a one horse town. You know, we're up here. I don't even know. We're like not even 600 population wise. We're fully legit here, man. We even have a town drunk that has so many DUIs that he drives around. He basically from his house to the bar on a riding lawnmower because he can't drive a car.
Sounds like George Jones, buddy.
Yes, sir. I actually thought he'd maybe, gotten in trouble with his wife or something. She took his car keys like that country song, but nope. No, I got to chatting with him at the bar, and he's just had too many DUIs, so he has to drive the riding lawnmower.
Yeah, so, well, it's a shame. Maybe he should have started turkey hunting. He would have straightened himself out a little bit.
That's what I'm thinking. I love comparing. I'm kind of people look down on the whole redneck term, right? But I'm kind of a proud redneck, man. And I like to compare just the cultural aspect of that from, like, I'm in North Idaho, you're in Missouri. I used to live in North Carolina, and that's a whole other breed of rednecks, right? And
yep.
It's just interesting regionally how that changes and shifts and whatnot. So, well, I'm glad that Dirk hooked us up. You know what I did, Chris, is Dirk asked me, he's like, man, you should get Chris Parrish on. And I'm like, yeah, man, I reached out to him like a year ago and he never responded. And so I went back and looked, man, I reached out. It was some other dude named Chris Parrish who's not even a hunter. So
you probably got the skier or the water skier. There's a water skier, Chris Parrish.
That might have been it. That might have been it.
Probably not interested on the hunting aspect of things. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not thinking so because I don't even know if he got the message. So all this time I was like, man, Chris is ignoring me totally. But nope.
I would never do that, brother. I like to talk hunting.
Well, that's good. So I mean, outside of Chris, outside of like growing up in Missouri. And you know how that small town element of your life kind of usually lends itself to people just, growing up as hunters. Kind of tell us what hunting is to you and how it came to be, with your lifestyle now.
I'm going to go way back here. So I'm going to kind of go back to my roots. As a kid growing up, my grandfather, Howard Parrish, we called him Nub. Well, he was called Nubs. I never called him Nubs. I called him Howard. He wasn't even grandpa to me. We called him Howard my whole life. Everybody did. My cousins, everybody called him Howard. He was a gun collector, a gun nut.
Uh-huh.
When he passed away, he had somewhere around 200 long guns and just shy of 300 pistols. So he was a pretty major gun collector.
My kind of guy.
I mean, he was a major gun collector, a huge trapper. Now, he was a hunter, but he was a huge trapper. And anybody that traps, the nuances that they can bring into the hunting aspect are way beyond what I think even hunters can bring to it, because trappers are even more in tune with what animals are doing. You got to actually figure out where they're going to put their foot at.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree.
I learned so much from my grandfather. And then my dad, my dad and my dad's going to be 84 this July. And so thankful that I still have him in my life. We play golf together. We still hunt together. I've taken him on several hunts. I've taken him to Canada. I've taken him to Kansas, and just been able to share so much time. My mom is still around. So just blessed to have, my family in my life still to this day. But my dad and my grandfather got me into hunting and shooting when I was very young. I think I was 8 years old, 9 years old when I killed my first deer. I was 12 years old when I killed my first deer with a bow.
Mm-hmm.
And 12 years old when I killed my first turkey with a bow. And ironically enough, I killed it with a recurve bow that I actually still own today, that the sheriff of Monroe County, where I grew up in Paris, Missouri, gave me, which was it's a 1973 Bear Super Kodiak.
Oh, yeah.
45-pounder. And so, a lot of history there, in the making of all that. And I grew up in that hunting, outdoors shooting family group that, on a Sunday afternoon, one of the fun things we did was just to go out and shoot. I mean, we'd shoot 22 rifles, we'd shoot high powered rifles. We would, and I just grew up with that, and I just took a love to it. Took a love to the outdoors, and it wasn't just about killing an animal. It was about understanding what was going on overall. Early on, catch and release fishing. My dad taught me how to bass fish and taught me how to catfish, and we catch big catfish and we catch big bass and we release them. And then, the trapping aspect, my grandfather was he loved to trap muskrats and of course, when you trapped, you harvested the animal, but
my grandpa trapped muskrats too, man. Love it.
And, I learned from that, and it was just one of those things where I just took a love for the outdoors overall, of every aspect of the outdoors. And I felt like at an early age that was just something that I wanted to do in my life. I wanted to be involved in it. I wanted to have a job in it. I wanted to work in it. I wanted to be an everyday part of my life, so to speak, that I could live it and breathe it and see it and touch it and feel it every day of my life. And I just wasn't going to let go of that. And literally from the time I was 17, 18 years old, I just never let go of that. And I can, I own a game call company. I say a game call company. I work with Phelps and Meat Eater. I build their call. I help build their mouth calls, help work on things with them. And I love every aspect of the outdoors. I love the hunting. I love the fishing. I love sharing it with my family. I love teaching them about, not just the harvest of the animal, but what makes the animal tick, why they think the way they think, why they do what they do, what makes them go, what makes their world revolve. And it's a learning aspect. I mean, honestly, if any human being thinks that they know everything at one time about any animal that walks the face of this earth, there's no way that they're ever evolving just like that we are as humans. And it's a learning experience every time you go. And I think that's probably the nuance why I love it so much.
I think that there are, when you look at non-hunters, I'm not talking about the anti-hunters, the non-hunter out there, when they kind of, they don't understand hunting. And part of the reason that they don't understand it, not that they have a negative feeling or whatever towards hunters, but they don't understand the it's not a hobby, it's a lifestyle. And they don't understand the passion and the obsession that comes out of it, because they don't understand how much you learn every single season. There is you can master hunting, right? You've mastered turkey hunting, you've mastered elk hunting and whitetail hunting, all these things that you've mastered.
I wouldn't say elk hunting, maybe whitetail and turkey, but
okay. Well, I'm still
learning the elk hunting. I've killed a lot of elk, but I'm still mastering the elk hunting part of it.
Well, that's good. No, and that's what the beauty behind it is. Even when you've mastered it, there's still a ton you learn every season. Every time you go out in the field, every time I've been hunting coyotes. I've been calling in coyotes and hunting them my entire life, right? And I've gotten a pile of them. But I took my daughters out because we're on our property. We've had a bunch of it goes through phases where there'll be no coyotes, and then all of a sudden we'll have 5 or 6 of them running around. And the problem with that, Chris, is we got chickens, and we free range them for most of the day. And I don't want coyotes getting my chickens. So I'm out there. We're out there. What's that?
I said they cycle. Coyotes cycle.
Yeah, they cycle. And for here, they cycle 1 month. They're here. 1 month they're gone. And so they're just moving around a lot. But anyway, I thought it'd be easy to go out and nail a couple of coyotes with this new this call I've got. And nope. Man, they're still outsmarting me. And again, that is the beauty behind hunting is just this endless process of learning and improving, and there's always something that you can make yourself better. So I'm on your Instagram, Chris. Is that you? You're in a red flannel shirt holding a rifle and a buck. There's a red Chevy behind you?
Yeah, that was like years and years and years ago. That was my dad and I, and my grandpa. I mean, if you look at that, I don't. Is the picture just me, or is it me and an older fella?
Well, there's the older fella with his arm around you on one, and then right next to that is you kind of kneeling over a little buck.
Yep.
With the red Chev.
Yep, that was probably 1980, 81.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was a long time ago, brother. When you're 50, I'm gonna be 55 in 2 weeks. Hate to give my age away, so
Yeah.
I can tell you that's a long time ago.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was a lot of years ago.
It just, that picture, both those pictures just speak to me because, I mean, you're older than I am by a little bit, but it takes me back, and it just speaks to, your life is fully immersed in hunting and has been your entire life, and you've got the pictures to show it. It's a cool story. I love these stories, and I don't get to talk to a lot of people from down south and in Missouri.
Yeah. So you consider that down south, but yeah, I understand where you're coming from.
Well, so I heard, and correct me if I'm wrong, I heard that it depends on what part of Missouri you're in, whether or not they feel like they are part of the South. Explain that, because I don't live there.
Well, so there's kind of that line, and so in Missouri, if you look at the Civil War, and of course we're going to get a little political.
No, that's okay. Just to forewarn you, Chris, I'm a major Civil War buff. So let's do this.
We're going to get a little political now. So at the end of the day, when you look at Missouri as a whole in the Civil War was kind of a independent state.
Yep.
However, there was a line, and I don't know exactly where that line was drawn. I live north of that line. I'm kind of from the north part of that. As far as where I live.
Mm-hmm.
However, I still abide by that Missouri was a neutral state, and we just were very independent. And, I don't know how a lot of people take that, but I think that independence is so, if you're a hunter, if you're a guy that is an outdoors person, whether you're a hunter, you're a fisherman, you're a hiker, you're just an outdoors person, and you enjoy the outdoors, you enjoy wildlife for what they have to offer, you're an independent guy.
Yeah.
You're an independent woman. You're
self-reliant. Yep.
You're self-reliant. I'll give you a little tidbit here. I know my brother-in-law, my wife's brother, was here in, I believe, last June, late June, and he told his kids, this is his exact words to his children. He said, "Hey, if crap ever hits the fan, go to Uncle Chris's place. You'll be fine."
Are you?
And that kind of was like, that's kind of a cool deal to have that kind of trust.
Oh yeah.
In somebody to know that, I believe that hunters in general, no matter what happens, they're level-headed. They understand that they've got to put the hardcore shell on, and they got to make positive things happen.
They're gritty.
And nothing can bring them down.
It's a gritty lifestyle, male or female, and that's why I like being a part of the hunting community is for that reason, because I think, and we can go down whatever rabbit hole you want to with this, but in my opinion, America as a society is growing softer and softer as we go, and we fuss over things that are just irrelevant in the grand scheme of what your life is supposed to be. And this urbanization and this overly comfortable life that we live, where you can order whatever dinner you want on your phone and have it to your house in 15 minutes or it's free, kind of mentality has just made a lot of society soft, and where hunters, they have kind of a grittiness against that, where there's this, sure, we might like some of that, but we also have the ability to be self-reliant and spend the time understanding these animals and getting to know these animals and what they do and how they live, so that we can become a part of nature and utilize those animals, because That's the ancient way of humanism. That's what life has been for since the dawn of time. And when we start losing that through just the way the American ideal has been so successful that the level of comfort and the quality of life is so extreme in comparison to any other society today or in history, I think that's just kind of a way to keep, like you and I, we want to kind of maintain that connection to humanism and hunting and that primitive life and that self-reliance attitude that made America great. And that's, I don't know where I'm going with this other than I love that topic, and I think it's important, and I think that's why hunters have a bond like you and I have never met. But man, I really like you, I have since we first started talking.
Yep, and I agree with you, and I'll go back and I'll make one little small statement here, and I think that anybody that's listening to this will understand. I think Hank Williams Jr. said it best: "Country boy can't survive. I can skin a buck. I can run a trot live."
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And at the end of the day, we can put food on the table, and no matter what happens, we're going to be okay.
Yeah.
We're going to be okay. And that to me has been like a mainstay in my life, as I've never worried about where tomorrow is going to come from, because I kind of hold a little bit of tomorrow in my hands.
Mm-hmm. That's a good way to put
it. I think that hunters understand that. They're subsistence people that understand that they can make something happen if it really needs to happen. If you've got to feed your family, I can feed my family. That's not a problem.
And just look at the way that society reacted to COVID-19 and clearing out the shelves of top ramen and toilet paper.
Amen, brother.
Think about if that was on like what if that was like the Ebola virus? It was something way worse than COVID. Or like EMPs hitting, or and I'm not like some big conspiracy theorist, but I think COVID put it into perspective for a lot of people that we are a nation and a society at risk, and it wouldn't take much to destroy that supply chain. And like your brother-in-law was saying, those people are coming to you. You're the hunter. You're the one that can obtain the sustenance necessary to survive in those difficult times. And I think that again, I'm not like a major conspiracy theorist, but I am of the mindset that there is going to be something that happens to this society in which people like us that are self-reliant and are able to hunt, and we do know how to process the meat and grow our own food and live off the land. Yep. We're going to be a hot commodity, and people are going to suffer because they don't know how to do that.
No, you know what I mean? Let's just face it. We've gotten into for lack of better terms, a fast food society, and that goes with every realm. That doesn't mean just food. It's everything that is involved in society. We're a fast food society. Everything is about what we can obtain quickly and easily without working for it.
Yep.
And I think COVID, beyond anything, proved that beyond the shadow of a doubt, just simply because the government paid people to stay at home and work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Actually, stay at home and not work would be a better terminology.
I was going to say
I'm not trying to put anyone down with my words on this by any means, but I don't believe that while we all get tired of getting up every day and going to work. It's tiring. It works on you.
Yep.
It's an everyday grind. It is. But if you have any kind of spiritual background and faith in your life and understanding of what makes things tick, our job as human beings is to get up every day, go provide for our families, put food on the table, whether it be go to work, whether it be to go hunting, whatever it is, it all evolves around that mainstay of having that ability to push yourself and get up every day and go do your job and get things done and make things happen. And, we can all sit back after we're all said and done and have that little pat on our backs and go, you know what? I may not be a multimillionaire. I may not be this. I may not be that. But you know what? I don't have to answer to anyone because I provided for my family. I took care of my family, and everybody's happy and healthy. And I went out and I harvested X amount of meat. I went to work and I collected a paycheck. I was able to provide, and I did a good job, and I did the best that I could do. And, we're all going to be judged by the same person at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what anybody thinks, we're all going to be judged by the same man. So good luck. I feel pretty good about where I'm going.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. I think, to speak to what you were talking about there from a self-fulfillment level too, I think that's important. Like I don't understand the people that can sit home and collect a government check for months and months and months and months, or even years at a time. I get that there are certain circumstances where maybe somebody lost their job, and that assistance is going to help feed their family for a while until they can get back on their feet or whatnot. But the problem is people make a freaking career out of it, and I don't understand the mentality of sitting around playing video games or whatever it is to fulfill your time. And then go to bed at the end of the day and feel good about yourself. I don't understand that. I can be super busy all day long, but if I feel like I didn't achieve anything substantial out of my busy day, I have a hard time sleeping. I can't. I don't understand how a person's soul is even fulfilled by sitting around and doing nothing all day. It just we're getting way off topic here, buddy, but it's a big deal.
I totally agree with you. I am totally on board. I've told my wife many a times, on a Saturday afternoon, I'm out here, mow the yard, weed eat, do this, do that, take care of this, get things done. And I'm like, it's a busy day, but man, it was successful.
Yeah. Yeah.
I felt like at the end of the day, I had success.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was doing what I call just house chores that you should do.
Yep.
But I still felt successful and that I actually accomplished something that day. And there's something to be said about that. A lot of us have desk jobs where we work on projects and we do this and we do that. And I remember years ago, I was doing some construction stuff in between some things. And I was doing a lot of trimming out of a house and, doing a lot of, fine trim work.
Yeah, finish work.
And when I got, every day I would make a great big change in how everything looked. And I remember just feeling such satisfaction. I was like, wow. I actually see progress.
Yeah.
And there's something about being able to see progress that kind of satisfies the soul.
Exactly. It's that mental feeling of accomplishment, and doesn't have to be some major thing, because like you were saying, my day job, it's like half desk. I'll go, I'm an estimator for commercial roofing. And so I'll go walk a big like high school roof or something. And then I spend the day after that doing an estimate as to what it would cost to replace that roof, right? And they're super complicated. They're very big jobs in the millions of dollars, and so there's a lot of there's a lot of stress that comes with this, because if I put a decimal point in the wrong spot, it could really cost the company, and so so there's that aspect of it. But I could do that all day, and I feel okay about myself. But if I do that, and then I stop work at 4 or 5 o'clock and I go out and I just clean the chicken coop, for example. Man, it's the cleaning of that chicken coop that makes me feel good about my day. You know what I mean? It is that physical thing. And everything every day is there's something physical that it's like my goal right now. I don't care if I'm splitting wood, cleaning, fixing chicken coops, fixing the garden, moving topsoil, hunting. It was something tangible that you could physically see with your eyes at the end of the day. And that's what makes my soul happy and fulfilled. I think that every human is like that, because that's how life has always been. There's always had to been something tangible that people do, and we've kind of lost that, where I had a job for about 10 minutes, Chris, where I had to sit in a cubicle. I couldn't do it. Like, it's not my thing. I can't do it. And I respect people who do, because it takes a lot of discipline. But I need that tangible result at the end of the day. So anyway.
I agree. Yep.
So when we're talking about hunting, obviously you've took a liking and you've gotten attached to this turkey hunting thing. And I love turkey hunting, Chris, but we're out west. So turkey hunting out here is, I think, not just vastly different in terms of how we pursue turkeys, but culturally, it's a way different thing than it is somewhere like Missouri. I think that there's a big cultural aspect in places like Missouri. And when I lived in North Carolina, it was like a big deal. It was like NASCAR, man. They shut everything down for turkey season. And talk to me a little bit about vocalizations with turkeys, why you've gotten so, I don't know, passionate about doing that and pursuing it to a level, because let me go back to your Instagram here, because I want people to understand, if they don't know who you are: 10 times Grand National Turkey Calling Champion, 9 World Champion titles, 3 U.S. Open championships, 3 X. So clearly, you know what you're doing when it comes to calling turkeys. Where does that come from?
It's kind of funny. The first time I ever turkey hunted, and again, we'll go back, this was in 1979. It was a fall season, and I don't think it was the first fall season that Missouri had. I think it was a second fall season, and I may be totally wrong, so I don't want to quote anything on that.
Sure.
But it hadn't been very many fall seasons. I'll just put it that way. But my dad took me out on that fall season, and we were across the river from where the turkeys were. They were up on this ridge, but turkeys were gobbling. They were yelping, they were kiki, and there was a multitude of vocalization going on. And, here's this young kid that, although I don't know anything, I'm smart enough to understand. I'm like, wow, these things have their own language.
Mm-hmm.
They're talking to one another, albeit I don't know a thing about what they're saying to one another, but they're talking to one another. Boy, if you got good at understanding that, and got good at making those sounds, you got to be more successful. You just got to go hand in hand. It's just the thought process in my mind. Yeah. And so I just kind of took it upon myself. I was like, I remember coming back from that hunt that morning going, Dad, I got to learn everything there is. And I started buying cassette tapes, records. This was back when we still had 33 records. We still had cassette tapes. You're talking back in the day. I mean, there's probably a lot of people listening don't even know what a cassette tape is, for Christ's sake. But, and I'm listening to this stuff, and I'm trying to gather all the knowledge that I can gather on the calling aspect so I can learn to call. I'm buying calls, and I'm figuring out that, you know what, I think I can build these things, and I'm trying to learn how to build them, and I'm building with a pair of pliers and surgical latex and, every little thing that there is. And it's like, holy moly, and I finally got to work, I'm like practice literally 5-6 hours a day. I'd practice before I went to school. I'd practice after school, and I got myself really in tune to understanding, what turkeys sound like. Now I had to learn how to hunt turkeys. And so that really and truly, I mean, by today's standards with YouTube and some of the things that we have now compared to what I had it as a kid.
Oh, yeah.
It's totally different. I mean, you can learn things today way faster than you ever could learn back in that day. So my learning experience on the hunting part of turkeys was more trial and error and just asking a lot of questions to a lot of old timers. How do you do this? How do you do that? What do you do here? What do you do there? And then screwing up, making mistakes, making mistake after mistake after mistake. Luckily, I grew up in a state in Missouri that had a lot of turkeys. We had, a decent season, and I had a lot of property I could hunt, so I learned a ton. And that's kind of where my calling aspect came from. Is I wanted to learn as much as I could about calling to be a better hunter, so I could be more successful. And my dad and I were he was actually buying a boat in Hannibal, Missouri. And upon him buying this boat, I saw this little thing up on the board at the boat shop. And I told my dad it was a turkey calling contest in Hannibal, Missouri. And I told my dad, I said, you know what? I said, I'd like to go to that turkey calling contest and call in that contest. He goes, you think you're ready for it? And I'm like, I don't know if I'm ready for it, but I'm not gonna get any better. And I said, it might be a good way for me to learn and get to be a better caller and a better hunter. I could talk to some guys. Mm-hmm. And so we went to this contest in Hannibal. I was 13 years old, and I'd killed some turkeys by then, but I didn't know anything about it. I killed some turkeys only because we had a lot of turkeys.
Yeah.
And if you got a lot of turkeys, you sit around long enough,
it makes it a little easier, right?
Yeah. You scratch one out every now and again. and so I went to the calling contest, and I called in the what they called the Jakes back then. Uh-huh. And I ended up winning it.
Oh, really?
I won it. First contest I was ever in. I actually fell up the stairs. I was so nervous that I was shaking out of my shoes, but I ended up winning it somehow, some way. I won it by the grace of God. Wow. I ended up meeting a guy by the name, and I'm sure everybody that knows anything about turkey hunting will know this name. I ended up meeting a guy by the name of Walter Parrish. Mm-hmm. And Walter kind of took me under his wing, if you will. And I got a lot of love for that guy. Just a lot of love. It brings a lot of tears to my eyes, even thinking about the times we traveled together, we called together. Him and I were first and second in so many contests.
Wow.
Him a few more times first than I was against him, because he had a little bit of a one up on me. I was a young guy.
Sure.
But he didn't really, Walter was one of those guys that never really would give you a lot of information. He'd tell you all about killing a turkey and hunting a turkey. He wouldn't give you a lot of information about calling. I understand that now. He's out there to win.
Oh, gotcha. He's because of the calling contests.
Right. But he would give you just enough information that if you had enough sense, you could figure it out. Okay. And so once I started figuring things out, then, of course, more information Walter would feed me. And so I won that first contest, and then, went on, and I called in it the second time, and I won it the second time. And then I went to it the third time. I don't even remember what year this was. So this has been, I think 83 was the first one, 84, I guess 85. I was old enough I could call in the open. Well, kind of funny, I placed fourth in the open and third in the Jakes division. I beat some of the older guys, and then I started getting to this point. I was like, oh, there's a little bit of a game to play here. There's a game.
A game to the contest.
It's a competition. Uh-huh. There's a game to play here. So you got to learn how to play that game as well, and understand that there's an aspect to this that's, even though you're calling and you're trying to call like a real turkey, there's also a game to play.
Sure.
So you have to learn how to play that game. And so you put it all together and you go, okay, I'm good at calling. I can get this down, but I also got to be good at the game. I got to be good at playing this game, and I got to understand how the judges are reading things. And even though, they're listening for a real turkey, they're also listening to how I put things together. And, you learn to play it. And fortunately, I was blessed enough to learn to play it and was able to, accomplish what I was able to accomplish in the turkey calling world. Sure. And, ultimately at the end of the day, I'm of course retired now. And last year I was inducted into the NWTF Hall of Fame, and, my career as a caller is over, but they will bury me with, turkey feathers in my urn. I'll put it that way.
I love it. And when you are because you've been in this a long time, and you've kind of, well, let me ask you this. How many states have you hunted turkeys in?
33.
33. Okay. Usually guys like you that are real passionate about turkey, I feel like that's a sense of pride when you've hunted multiple states for turkey. And so, I knew you'd have an answer, but anyway, when you're looking at hunters out there now, because nowadays we have social media, we have all these different videos and whatnot. What are some of the biggest mistakes you see new turkey hunters or even experienced turkey hunters that may not be? It might be just a numbers game, like you were saying. There's just so many turkeys. Like anybody can come to North Idaho, where I live, and tag out on a turkey. I mean, like anybody. You can get 2 turkey tags here and me and my 2 daughters, all of us tagged out on both tags last year. And it wasn't that hard, right? So I guess I'm getting back to this question. What mistakes do you see turkey hunters making? And I'd be one of them if I filmed myself turkey hunting, you'd be like, Jim, no, sir, come on. Those were just dumb turkeys. Right. And so I want people to kind of get an idea of, a little better understanding on the calling aspect. Like I call them in, but I don't know how I'm calling them in. I don't know why I'm calling them in. I don't really know what I'm saying or what they're saying back. If you separate that, like when we're calling elk, I know what to say to elk, and I know when I hear them vocalize back at me, I generally know what they're saying to me. And a lot of it is just emotion, and a lot of it is just a feeling that I have because I've been doing it a long time. Turkeys, yep. I don't have that. And so can you speak to that part and what hunters do to mess up their turkey hunt?
Well, I mean, so I'll back up one step here and say, Jim, that I don't care how much experience you have, you're going to make mistakes.
Sure.
I mean, they're wild animals out there. They are doing their thing. And we have a tendency as humans, a lot of times, to overthink the process, if you will. Mm-hmm. They're wild animals. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to say they're dumb by any means. They're dumb compared to our mentality, because God gave us ability to reason compared to what an animal has. Mm-hmm. Okay. But at the end of the day, we outthink ourselves a lot. We overthink the process.
Totally.
And I think that has a lot to do with, I remember giving a seminar, and I'm going a long way around this, so bear with me just a little bit here.
No, you're good, Chris, but you're a little far away from the mic there.
Yeah, I got you. I said I was giving a seminar, and I got a guy that, we're talking about the turkey aspect of it and the calling aspect of it and what turkeys are doing. And he asked me this question. He's like, hey, he goes, I got this turkey that, I set up on him one day on this side and he flies down and he goes the other way. And the next day I go up and I set up on him in this other direction and he flies down and he goes the other way. He's like, I don't know what's going on here. And I'm like, yeah. I said, he knows who you are, and he knows what you sound like, and he knows your call, and he just, he's just got you figured out. And he's like, oh, really? And I'm like, no. I said, totally the opposite. I said, he's just being a turkey. I said, you're overthinking the process too much. He's just out there being a turkey. He doesn't know any different. He doesn't know any better. He's just doing what comes natural to him. He just doesn't know any better. I said, you're overthinking it. I said, do the same thing 3 days in a row. And on the third day, guess what's going to happen to that turkey?
You're going to fly right down in front of you.
He's going to be right in your face. Mm-hmm. I said, quit overthinking the process.
I feel like a lot of hunters can learn from that.
And I think that has a lot to do with every aspect of what we hunt, whether it's a whitetail deer, whether it's an elk, whether it's a caribou. We overthink things to the point, especially animals that we vocalize with, that we have calls for.
Yeah.
We overthink the process. I mean, obviously caribou is not one of them, but let's just say elk, whitetail, we can grunt and we can rattle to whitetails. We can do so many things. But we overthink that process instead of just keeping it simple, stupid, and realizing that they're just out there being normal. They don't know any different. We're the ones overthinking it.
Man, that is so true. I'm glad to hear you say that. There's that movie. It's going to totally evade me what the name of that movie is, but it's that football coach, and he's like, stick to the basics. And he's just screaming at the team or whatever because they were trying to do this real complicated play, And I think that, like, I'm guilty of that with elk. I'll get out in the elk woods, and maybe I'm getting a bugle from over here, but for some reason in my mind I overly complicate the scenario and the situation, and I think that the elk is like more cognizant and more savvy than they really are. I mean, elk are smart, right? For an elk are smart animals, and turkeys, I think, are smarter than people give them credit for. Hell, a rainbow trout is too. But they're in their environment. They're in their environment, and they do this for a living. And what I've found, Chris, is when I'm struggling in the elk woods, all of a sudden it'll kind of hit me where it's like, okay, I need to go back to the basics because I'm complicating this. And I've done it with turkey, I've done it with whitetail, I've done it with mule deer, and I'm going back to the basics where they are in their natural environment. I just love the way you put that, because it's, again, I'm always seeking ways to simplify the complicated, and sometimes we just complicate stuff, and especially with these damn turkeys, man, they could be tricky.
Well, and you talk about turkeys in the western part of the United States compared to, let's just say, our part. So you talk about turkeys in northern Idaho being easy. Okay, so you could say that they're easy. They're not really easy. The difference between a lot of turkeys is the amount of pressure that they've had on them. If an animal is hunted an immense amount of days, hours, years, they evolve, they change. Things are bred into them, no different than what's bred into a human being. If you were a person that your dad was in law enforcement and chased by a bad guy, and you had to deal with that, and you got in law enforcement and were chased by a bad guy, as time evolved, the son of the son of the son of the son would be brilliant at evading a bad guy.
True. Yeah.
He'd have him outsmarted before he ever thought about getting out, getting his clothes on in the morning.
Sure.
That's just how that is. It's evolution, and animals evolve because of the pressure that they're put on them, and they change. And it's not that they quit being what they are; they just do things differently. A big whitetail. Everybody says, "Oh man, you spook a big whitetail buck. You spook a 5-year-old buck one time, and you'll never see him again." You don't never see him again because he leaves where he's at. because he lives there. He don't leave where he's at. He just quits moving in a manner in by which you can put your eyes on him on a consistent basis.
Yeah.
That's what happens.
See, I'm guilty of that, Chris. I'll be like,
shut up.
That big old buck went to Arkansas.
No, he never left the country.
You're exactly right, because he still shows up on the cameras.
Yeah, he's living right underneath your nose. You just haven't figured out that you need to change what you're doing to make things happen. Turkeys are the same way. I get such a kick out of it. Guys are like, well, they're not gobbling. They gobble on the roost, they fly down, they shut up. Why'd he shut up? Oh, well, he actually packed his bags and he boarded frickin' Southwest Airlines and he flew out of the country.
He's a frequent flyer on Southwest.
Yeah, no, he didn't. He's looking at hens. And when he flies down and it's the middle of breeding season and he's looking at hens, why would he want to gobble and let every other gobbler in the area know that he's got a bunch of hens with him?
Yeah.
Why? I wouldn't. Would you? No,
nope.
You would not. So why is he going to gobble? He's going to spit and drum. But guess what happens as time evolves? The hens are going to go on the nest. They're going to start laying eggs. They're going to start setting. And that gobbler may not gobble a whole lot, but he's going to come to a call because there's another hen that he hears, and he may just spit and drum, and he may just walk in there. So learn to be a patient hunter. Learn to understand how the lay of the land works. Learn where the areas are that turkeys like to frequent. There's a whole lot more that goes into the hunt than just the vocalization. It's not just being able to call to that turkey. It's also being able to call to that turkey in the way that the turkeys are vocalizing in that manner. So if the hens are not real vocal, don't be real vocal. Don't call a lot. Go sit around areas that turkeys frequent. Be patient. Take your time. Don't expose yourself. There's just so many aspects that go into it, and guys want to kill a turkey that's gobbling and running to a call and strutting and drumming and doing his thing. We all love that.
Yeah. It's the same with elk hunting. Yeah.
But guess what? They don't all do that.
Yeah.
And so learn to hunt animals that don't give themselves away. Learn to be a patient, sit around, think about what's going on and how don't overthink the animal. Think about what you would do if you had all this pressure on you and how you would react to it. And if you start putting yourself in that aspect of the game, man, your success rate will go up 100-fold. I mean, I can't tell you how many turkeys I have killed that have never gobbled, that have never said a word, that just came in looking, sometimes spitting and drumming, sometimes just walking up looking. Because I decided to be patient. I decided to sit around. I decided to scratch in leaves and cluck and purr and soft yelp and act like a turkey that is just being a turkey and not being super vocal because the turkeys around me weren't being super vocal. And just trying to put myself in that aspect of the game. And the success rate goes sky high. And it doesn't matter whether you're in Idaho or whether you're in New York City or in Vermont, Pennsylvania. It doesn't matter. Turkeys are turkeys no matter where you're at. I don't believe in a call shy turkey. People say, oh, call shy. Well, if they were call shy, they'd never breed and have babies.
Yeah. People say that about call shy. Yeah, people say that about a lot of things.
They're pressure shy.
Yeah.
And if you got a lot of pressure on them, they're still going to do what they do. They just may not gobble and be very vocal at it, but they're still going to do what I've killed turkeys in the sleet. I've killed turkeys in the 6 inches of snow. I've killed them in the driving rain. I've killed them in every weather condition you can imagine. They're still out there doing their thing. They're just doing it a little bit different than what they would do when you want them to be what you think a turkey should be doing.
Sure.
They're not going to do it every day. You know it. You talk about elk. I mean, I'm not the elk hunter you are, and I'm darn sure not the elk hunter
no.
Dirk is.
Yeah, leave it at that. I am not the elk hunter Dirk is. Dirk is my elk hunting mentor. So,
he's a hero. He's a hero.
Yeah, he's a hero. He's like who I want to be as an elk hunter, but I'm just not.
But I'm sure he'll tell you the same thing. That, you know what, man, if they're not vocal and you don't know where one's at, you just got to put shoe leather on the ground, and you just got to work at it, and you just got to be patient, and sooner or later you'll straggle into something. That's just the way hunting is.
Yeah. Well, Chris, okay. Yeah, you're going to eviscerate me, man. I want to ask a couple of the questions that I get a lot of from the audience when it comes to turkey hunting. Because, and I want to set this up from, the aspect of, again, where I live, man, and we homestead here in North Idaho. I've got 26 acres. There's turkeys all over this place. Interestingly, only one of the turkeys me and my daughters killed last year was actually on our property. So it's not like we just hunt the property here, but we've most of them were killed on public land last year. So anyways, the point being is I am so amateurish at turkeys, and I think that there are so many turkeys here, it makes this possible. But all I do, and this is the question I get a lot from the audience when it comes to turkey hunting, all I do is do you make these little black bat reeds for Phelps?
Yeah.
Is that you who makes those?
Yeah.
So I generally speaking, I'll locate a turkey by doing my own gobble, which is just with my mouth, and it sounds terrible, but turkeys respond to it because they like to gobble at everything, right? And then I'll kind of close the distance, and I'll stick this little black bat reed in my mouth, and I'll just kind of go like this. Hey, by the way, do you have turkey calls handy right there?
Oh, I can have one pretty handy real quick.
Okay. I'm just curious because I'm terrible at this. So this is what I do. I'll make a goblin or a gobble sound, and maybe let's say I hear a turkey gobble back at 100 yards, say, and I'll close the distance to 50. It's real thick and brushy here, makes that really easy. Then I'll just stick this little black bat in my mouth and go like this. And that's basically, I'll just kind of repeat that. That's all I do. And these toms come in. And I've killed jakes that way, and I've killed older toms that way. But if I took that to somewhere like Missouri or Kansas or some of the like Midwest or Southeast areas where they get a lot more pressure, that's not going to work. That I think that...
No, I would disagree with you.
You think it would work?
It all depends on the day. It all depends on the turkey. It all depends on what's going on. I mean, the calling aspect, you said a mouthful when you said you cut the distance. So,
yes,
my thought process and what most people do wrong is they don't set up close enough to the turkey before they start calling to the turkey. Okay.
So can you define that though, Chris? Yeah, like when you say they're not set up close enough. What is that range? If you were to give us like a guesstimation of yardage where you think is kind of that prime area, I'm always going for 50 yards personally, but I may be way off base, man.
No, you know what? I'm not. I mean, obviously, terrain has a lot to do with it.
Yes,
so,
and brush.
Where you hunt at, and you've got a lot of you've got hills and hollers and you got brush, you got thick. You can get close to the turkey. Okay. We in the Midwest, if you came out here, there'd be a pocket of timber and then a wide open field for 200 yards. Well, obviously, you're not going to walk across the wide open field and go 200 yards to that patch of timber if the turkey's on the edge of the patch of timber. Mm-hmm. You're going to bust it, and then the game's over, right? So,
yep.
But if I can get inside what I call that 100-yard bubble. Okay. 99% of the time, I'm probably going to get that turkey either killed or shot at. We'll put it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I've got to get inside that bubble. So many times a person will set up 200 yards from a turkey. especially on the roost. Turkeys gobbling on the roost. They slip in and they don't look the terrain over real good. They don't realize they can get close to that bird, and they set up. They set up 200 yards from him. Well, guess what could happen in that 200 yards?
I mean, anything can happen. Anything can happen there.
Yeah. Public land, another hunter.
Yep.
Hens.
Coyote.
Coyote. There's a lot of things that can happen. And most of the time it's hens. Most of the time, if a turkey is gobbling, hens go to the gobbler by nature. That's just how it is. And, you'll have a turkey gobble and you'll be working him. He's gobbling, man. Every time you call, he's gobbling. All of a sudden he shuts up. One or two things is probably going to happen. Either that turkey is on his way or hens showed up. He don't show up in 10 minutes. Hens are involved. Or, he could have got spooked. Obviously, if it's public land, you could have got spooked either by anything. But if you're hunting private land, chances are he got with hens. Well, he's done gobbling now. He's strutting and drumming, and he's breeding.
Okay.
Well, so what I will do is I will just sit there and I will wait and I will give it time. Because sooner or later, he's going to gobble at something because one of the hens is not standing for him. She's not ready. She won't breed with him. And all of a sudden, he'll gobble. And you might be able to hit him with a call, make him gobble. It may be an owl or a crow or a hawk or whatever, and he'll gobble. Well, once that turkey gives his location away, again, if he does, even if he doesn't, a lot of times I'll make a little move and try to get closer if the terrain will let me. But if he gobbles again and I got a really good location, if the terrain will allow me, I will cut the distance in half and I will just go in there and sit and never make a sound. I'll just sit there and listen to what's going on and kind of figure out, because now I know that there's about a 95% chance that he's got hens with him. Well, chances are those hens don't want anything to do with me. I'm an intruding hen.
Because just clarification right there. They don't want anything to do with you because they think you're another hen. Is that right?
I'm another hen. She wants all the man.
Okay.
No different than man wants all the woman. That's just the way it is. So if you start calling to her and she's not vocal with you, she's just going to take him and drag him off somewhere.
Okay.
And so you're like, oh, well, he gobbled, but he's not coming. It is what it is. But, so what I will do is I will assess the situation. And so to that point, 2 years ago, if everybody watched some of the Phelps episodes where me and Dirk doubled, those two gobblers we killed, we were on that morning, and we worked them with a group of hens until 11 o'clock, and couldn't do nothing with them. They gobbled everything you did, and no matter what we did, we'd make a move, and we'd call, they'd gobble. Hens would drag them off this direction, and then we'd make a move. They'd drag them off another direction. And I finally looked at everybody and I'm like, let's go get some lunch and the heck with this crap.
Because you're not going to pull them away from those hens. You
no,
and that's what you're saying.
You can't compete.
You can't be like a sexier hen and try to pull them off of those. Okay.
Yeah, and what are you going to do? You can't crawl. You can crawl out there in the field with a fan, and you can do a lot of things. You can do that, but we're trying to kill some turkeys on video, and yeah, you could have one guy go out there and kill, but it wasn't my hunt. This was all about Dirk, and we're trying to film a hunt, and that makes it a little more difficult. Let's just face it. When you got a camera around, it makes it a little more difficult.
Yep. So. Stupid camera cost me a bull a couple years ago.
Right. I told Randy and Dirk and Jason, I'm like, let's go get some lunch and heck with these turkeys. We'll come back about 2:00, 2:30. We came back. We slipped out to the edge, glassed them. Hens were walking to this clover field. The gobblers were strutting behind them. And I looked and I said, let's cut around here, sit down right here, get behind us with a camera, Jason. And I looked at Randy and I said, let's not call at all. They're going to walk up in this clover field. And I said, they can't get out of gun range. We never made a sound. Hens walked up in the clover field. Gobbler strutted and spit and drummed, and Beautiful right up behind him 30 yards. 1, 2, 3, me and Dirk doubled. You don't have to call to them.
That's cool.
Learn how to hunt them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kill them on their terms.
Yeah.
Let them make the decision for you. There's times to call, and at times that you can call and be very successful. And there's times to learn to shut up and never make a call. And that comes with experience. You know, I could sit here, we could have a conversation for the next 3 hours on this, but in reality, that is something that is a learned process by just watching what's going on and going, you know what, I can't kill that animal doing this, but I can kill it doing this. And you change your tactics to that. How many times have you killed a bull that was bugling and you got inside the bedding area and you didn't make a sound? You just got in there and laid with him until he got up and started bugling, trying to gather his cows up, and he walked by and you killed him.
Yeah. Yeah. I know there's a lot of, you know what always blows my mind, and it's probably because I'm not that great of a hunter, Chris, but I know a lot of people that kill bull elk in September and don't make a peep. They don't make a peep. They just know different methods. I'm so simple-minded, I only know one method. I call them in. But there are people that think about this kind of stuff on a deeper level, and I feel like that's what you're doing on the turkeys, because I've never really considered that. I mean, I again, Chris, I can drive up a Forest Service road here and jump out of my truck. So I literally killed a turkey one time because I pulled off the side of the road, shut the truck off, it was a shotgun, I had my shotgun. I wasn't bow hunting, and I just on a whim, I had it was a mouth call, but I'll do it on the box call here. I just kind of went, whatever, just messing around, and this turkey comes trucking down towards me. I'm literally peeing, and this thing, all of a sudden, I shot it. It takes flight, and it's heading right for me. I shot it again, and it died right in front of my truck. Easiest turkey hunt I've ever been on. Is that...
You know what? Turkey, again, exactly what I said earlier. We outthink ourselves.
Yeah, man. Complicated, right?
And we don't think about how simple it can be.
Mm-hmm.
It's like killing big whitetails, and I've been blessed. I've killed 4 Boone and Crockett whitetails in my life, and I've got a bunch of 150 deer on my wall, and I'm never would ever claim to anybody to be a great whitetail hunter, but I'm tenacious, and I'm just going to keep going and keep going and keep going and keep going until somebody makes a mistake.
With whitetail, do you use a lot of like grunts or rattles or anything like that, or are you vocalizing a lot? Or
I don't. I mean, I'm not a blind caller. With whitetails, I do not blind call like I do to turkeys.
Okay.
I like to have a visual on a deer before I do anything. And the reason why is deer are they're so in tune to circling downwind of you.
Sure.
And you can rattle to a deer, and I've seen big deer come out, 160-inch deer walks out and he's 200 yards away. You crack the horns together, and he turns and he's running at you. And then he veers off 100 yards and makes a big loop and gets 80 yards behind you. I mean, with a gun, it's no problem, obviously. If you're bow hunting, though.
Bow hunting's a problem.
He gets 80 yards behind you and done. Yep. Out of there.
Well, I got a question on that. Well, actually, let me ask you this, Chris. It sparked an idea. I don't know if you're familiar with my show, but we were talking about Dirk. I just had Dirk on. When this comes out, it'll be last week's episode. The School of September, and it's a special series for September archery hunting, and Dirk's on it every year. And what one of the requests I've been getting is, like, take that same concept, like the School of Septembers, which is a real comprehensive elk hunting, kind of back and forth discussion. Would you be up for coming back on the show to do, and I'll just dub it like School of November for whitetail?
Absolutely.
Would you? I'd love to have somebody like you, your caliber of hunter, that has, you've been all over the place and gotten a ton of big whitetail. I'd love to have you on the show for that.
Absolutely. I'd love to.
I'm also looking for somebody, I don't know if you can help or point me in the right direction with this. I'm also looking for somebody that can talk to the land management to make it prime for whitetail for the Western landscape. Like I know about, planting clovers and stuff, but most of the hunting that dudes like me do is on public land. I will take the kids out and we'll hunt whitetail here on the property or whatever. I've shot one on the property here. Actually I've shot a couple on the property. But anyway, the point is so like managing your land for whitetail is not a big thing in the West like it is in your neck of the woods.
Right.
And so like, I'm just kind of it's a guessing game for me. I'd love to have somebody that has some expertise in this. Is that something you specialize in, or maybe you could point me in the right direction?
No, it's not. I mean, as far as Western part, it's not. I mean, I do my own thing here in Missouri, but Randy Milligan, who is definitely, he's part of the Phelps crew and everything. Mm-hmm. He's got Kansas property, and he's very big into managing his properties and the food plotting and every aspect of it. And he's close enough to that part of the country that I think he could probably give you a lot of insight on, maybe he's doing it on a little bigger scale than what a lot of people in the Western part could do. Yeah. But you could scale that down and have an understanding of kind of what that is like then, and how that can impact your whitetail hunting. And, it doesn't just impact your whitetail hunting. It impacts all of your hunting. It impacts your turkeys, having those clovers and those food sources available during those peak times is, areas where, turkeys like to bug. They love to bug. Mm-hmm. They love to eat bugs. If there's area like clover is like one of the best food sources for turkeys, not because it's clover, but because of the amount of bugs it holds.
Sure.
And turkeys will go through this.
Yeah.
And I love hearing people talk about it's like, oh man, turkey come that clover field. You see that thing picking around eating that clover? It wasn't eating a bit of clover. Wasn't eating one drop of clover. That son of a gun was picking up bugs out of that clover. And that's what they love to do this time of year. The spring of the year and the summer months, they love to bug. They're bug eaters. They're eating, June bugs and grasshoppers and little bugs on the clover, and they're eating all that stuff, and that stuff holds it because it attracts those bugs, and those turkeys love to bug, and that to me is there's a lot of aspects to land management that increases your odds of being successful as a hunter because you attract more game to your property. I had for example, I got 20, just under 23 acres here. And on this 23 acres, I've got, I want to think, Jim, I've got like 17 or 18 acres of timber and some CRP back here. Well, I had a bunch of big walnuts and some other trees that really need to be taken out. One, I looked at it as a monetary value for one. And two, a habitat improvement. And so I had them taken out, and I had all the tops left, and all the understory grew up.
Yep.
You can't imagine the amount of deer habitat that I created by doing that, and the amount of deer that are living on the property now that were not living on the property 2 years ago.
Just from thinning it out like that, huh?
I
love that
it out.
idea.
But you make it thicker because of all the
under the brush, yeah.
And it's just amazing. I mean, my wife and I sat out here on the deck, and she's like, look at that. There's 11 deer in the backyard. And I'm like, yeah.
I'd love to see your property, man. That'd be fun. I'd love to see your property one day.
And it's like, that didn't happen 2 years ago.
Sure.
And we had deer in and out of the property. Don't get me wrong. I mean, we live in rural Missouri. We're going to have deer, but we didn't have that amount of deer. And just that little bit of habitat management can make a huge difference. We created bedding cover. We created browse food source. Nesting habitat for turkeys. We created a ton of little things in a very small area that made game want to live on your property.
So
and
can I?
Don't have a lot of property, but we have it. We have game here.
Oh, that's plenty of property to make a good whitetail habitat, though. I mean, shoot, man, 23 acres is a big deal. And so, but can I back up a little bit and ask you something about what you were seeing with whitetail hunting? So for me, Chris, I've always been a big mule deer guy. I just got into whitetail hunting, I don't know, 5, 6, maybe 7 years ago. I started getting pretty serious about it. And like where I grew up, we didn't have whitetail. It was all mule deer. Now where I live, it's primarily whitetail, and you got to go into the high country to find mule deer. And so it's just it's habitat regional thing. I'm kind of getting addicted to whitetail hunting, but my problem is I don't know much about like hunting out of a blind or hunting out of a tree stand. It's just never been my thing. And so the question I have for you is, when you were talking about that buck, that was at 200 yards and maybe you start rattling or grunt or whatever, and that buck starts coming, and then at 100 yards, he turns and goes downwind to try to pick up your scent. Is there, in your opinion, and I'm asking this because I have resoundingly asked the question or answered the question, sorry about that. I've answered the question in my own mind when it comes to bear and elk. You cannot fool a bear and you cannot fool an elk's nose. But on whitetail, I use this stuff. Oh man, I'm going to I want to say it's from Buck Fever USA. They do this scent, you can spray yourself down.
Uh-huh.
It seems to help, but like, what do you do for that to try to, I'm of the opinion that with whitetail, and again, take it with a grain of salt because I don't have a lot of experience, but I'm of the opinion that you can reduce the magnitude and dramatics of your scent, but you'll never totally eliminate it. I want to get your take on it when it comes to whitetail hunting.
I'm 100% in agreement with it. I mean, if the thermals are right and the wind is right, you could go out there in gasoline-soaked shorts and you're good.
Yeah.
But if it's not, doesn't matter what you do, you're going to get busted. It's just that simple. They live by their nose.
Yeah.
They don't see all that well. They're not the sharpest knife in the drawer. Everybody puts them up on this great big high pedestal, but they live by their nose. If they smell you, it's over, period. And you're not going to stop that. Now, you can reduce it to a point if the thermals are right and you got a high skies and the wind is rising in the morning. Yeah, you can get by with some things that you would not get by with in an evening time when the thermals were falling, or in when you had the wind. I like a wind 5 to 10 mile an hour because it's steady and it's doing one thing. You get a variable wind that's gusting at let's say it's 5 mile an hour, 2 seconds, and 25 mile an hour in a couple seconds. You can't predict anything. And the deer are spooky as crap, so they're on high alert. And when they're on high alert, their senses are even higher. So they're going to pick things out a little bit more. But I don't think you can ever fool a wild animal's nose. Obviously turkeys can't smell. They tried to say that several years ago, but they can't. They can't say. If they could, you'd never kill one. But
that's funny. I remember when that was going around. Oh no, they can smell. No, they can't.
Yeah,
man.
no, they can't smell. If they can smell, you'd never kill one.
You
of
can
them.
smoke a Cuban cigar and they'll come running right up to you. I mean,
oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
So,
but and the thing is if everything's right, you can smoke a Cuban cigar and kill a freaking 200-inch deer.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
totally.
That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
But the thing is I don't try to overthink the process. I dress at the truck most of the time. If not, I don't have far to go. I don't wear my boots in the truck. I try to put my boots on when I get out of the truck, just because I feel like that is the biggest impact that you have is your ground scent.
Mm-hmm.
I try to do things right, but at the end of the day, you're never going to beat a nose of an animal that can smell 6 times the olfactory that a human or a dog can smell.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure, man.
You can't beat that. It's just what it is. And another thing that I do that a lot of guys don't do, that I probably would bank my success on more than a lot of guys would even talk about, is I don't try to hunt particular areas when the wind is absolutely perfect for me.
What do you mean? Expand on that a little bit.
Well, a lot of people want, like, say, for example, if they feel like the deer is coming from the north going to the south.
Uh-huh.
We'll try to keep this in simple layman's terms.
Sure.
They want the wind coming from the north all the time. I don't. I want the wind cutting a crosswind. I want it coming from the northwest or the southwest, or something that's cutting a crosswind. I want the deer to feel comfortable, especially a big mature deer. I want that deer to feel comfortable moving where he has a little bit of wind advantage. Now, I don't want him to have the wind advantage at 100 yards. I want him to have the wind advantage when he gets to me.
Sure.
So if he gets just slightly downwind of me, let's say if it's blowing from my right side to my left side, and that deer is coming from a little bit in front of me, but off to my left side, he's got to get all the way to my left side to get totally downwind of me, but he has the wind in his favor for the most part.
So that makes him feel comfortable to move in front of you.
I like to give the deer a little bit of a comfort zone.
Gotcha.
They like to move when they like to smell what they can't see. So okay. I want to give them a little bit of that advantage. Now, I don't want to give them all the wind, because at that point, you're never going to kill anything.
Mm-hmm.
But if I can get him in my wheelhouse before he gets dead downwind of me, and you can do that, you just got to look the terrain over. And that again comes with a lot of years of experience. I mean, a lot of times I'll hang my set and people will look at it and like, "Oh, that deer's going to get downwind of you right here." I'm like, "Well, yeah, but I'm planning on killing him here." I'm thinking I could probably get him killed here.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think he's going to get to that point. And if he does, he does. I'll have to make an adjustment.
Man.
But I really think that I can get him killed here before he gets downwind of me. And yes, have deer busted me because of that? Absolutely. But I've got 4 Boone and Crockett's on the wall that they all died within 15 yards of being downwind of me.
Yeah. I think, I don't know. This is like always a thing I have in my head, because my girls, we spooked a couple of bucks last year. I was trying to get them a little bit bigger buck than they got the year before. And I was telling them, like, yeah, listen, you gotta get busted by a few bucks before you actually get one. Like, it's just like a price you pay or something. I don't know. And I just mess around, but let's save I'm really excited, Chris. I really want to do a whitetail, and like we'll call it School of November, because I'm kind of getting obsessive status over whitetail hunting, and it's funny too, because when I grew up, I grew up in Utah, and it had we only had mule deer. We never saw, there was no whitetail at all, and so grow up, I saw a few whitetail when we'd go to certain parts of Idaho because we had a bunch of family reunions in Idaho and Wyoming and whatnot. And so when I was in some of those areas, I'd see whitetail here and there. But it was I joined the Marines, and they sent me out to Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, and I get out there and I start seeing all these whitetail everywhere, and they didn't do it for me, man, because they were way smaller than mule deer. And for some reason, it didn't. I didn't think they were that cool until, I don't know, maybe like a decade ago. And this is years after I got out of the service. But I started noticing, there is something to like the hunt that well, to back it up, I used to think that you hunt whitetail just like you hunt a mule deer. That's not the case. They're way different. And that's why I think a lot of people think they have it in their mind that you have to be either a whitetail fan or a mule deer fan, and you can't be both or you're cheating on the other one. And that's just wrong, because I'm telling you, there is something special about a big, high country, majestic mule deer buck. But you are not living until you've been in neck deep into a whitetail rut hunt. And, just the differences and the nuances that separate these deer, that make them different species, that it becomes so obvious. I'm like obsessive about them. So I really want to get you back on and pick your brain about that. But we've been going for over an hour, so I want to wrap it up with talking about some of the things that we normally talk about on this show, which is, especially somebody like you who's got several decades of experience and successful hunting, and you've seen the transition of hunting prior to social media to hunting after the existence of social media, and how that's changed, and how hunting has changed, and how the general public or the culture has changed around hunting. And I kind of want to get your take. Like, what do you see as a problem when we look to the future of hunting? What's like something that just catches your eye and catches your attention, and you think, man, this has got to change, or hunting is in grave danger?
I was literally, and this hits on a very sharp topic of mine. I was literally talking to my wife about this a few nights ago, and she mentioned to me, you haven't posted anything about any of your deer that you've killed in the last 5 or 6 years. And I'm like, I don't really care for anybody to know what I do. And she's like, well, yeah, but she goes, you've killed some really good deer over the last 5 or 6 years. And I'm like, yeah, I understand that. I get it. But, I said, I post when Rusty kills a good deer, or Rusty kills a turkey. And I said, I'll throw a turkey on there.
Is Rusty your son?
Rusty's my son. Yep. Okay. And she's like, yeah, but I've not seen you. And she goes, why is that? And I said, Kath, I said, there's a twofold reason. I said, and this was the last this is the last deer post that I ever put up. Now, when I worked for Bear Archery, and other people have posted things, and Bear Archery posted some things because I sent pictures to them. But my very last post that I ever put up on my own on a deer is I killed a 189-inch mainframe 8-pointer on public land in Kansas.
Nice.
And I was 5 days after I killed the deer before I posted the picture. And the first thing that happened was I got accused of killing a deer in a high fence.
Yep.
Now, understand, I was going 1.8 miles from my truck by GPS into my stand.
Mm-hmm.
So, first of all, I have to ask how many guys have got enough balls to go 1.8 miles at 3 o'clock in the morning from their truck to their stand, and then kill the deer and get the deer out.
Which also means you drug a deer stand 1.8 miles into there.
Well,
spent a lot of time prior.
I had the stand hung prior to me going in there, but yes, but still, bottom line is you worked at it, right?
Yeah.
And I had a witness to the kill, and I had a game warden witness to the kill, because I got a game warden involved to make sure that everybody knew this was kosher. Because, when you kill a really big deer, everybody wants to accuse you of everything, doing everything wrong. And once I posted that and that was said, I didn't have anything demeaning to say to the guy that said that. He can believe what he wants to believe. I know what the truth is. A buddy of mine that was hunting with me knows what the truth is. He helped me get the deer out. Yeah. But at the end of the day, we're starting to live in a society by which everyone is judged by everything they post.
Yep.
And I'm not going to be judged by what I post. I hunt because I love to hunt. I like to hunt big deer because I like to hunt big deer. I've graduated. I used to kill everything that walked. I've graduated. I like to hunt turkeys because I hunt turkeys. I kill turkeys because I like to hunt turkeys. I hunt elk. I kill elk because I love to hunt elk. I love to hear them bugle. I loved being out west. I love every aspect of it. I've killed Dall sheep. I've killed caribou. I've killed turkeys in 33 states. I've hunted Alaska 2 times. I've been to Canada a couple of times. I've been all over the United States and Alaska and Canada. I love it. I love every aspect of it, but I'm not going to be judged by those that are armchair hunters that feel like that because you have worked your butt off, saved your money, put your time in, and dedicated your lifestyle to be successful at doing certain things that you're doing it wrong in their eyes. Now, the guy that wants to go hunt a high fence, go hunt a high fence.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with that.
That's your privilege. That is your privilege. It's not for me. It's not for me.
Yeah.
But it's your privilege. It's your money. You do what you want to with it. You earned it. I didn't go work your job. You went and worked your job. And guess what? Not everybody in the world has
30 grand to go.
Yeah, or hundreds of thousands of hours to go hunt. Mm-hmm. They've got 4 or 5 days. They want to go kill a big animal. They go kill a big animal. You know what? That's your privilege.
That's what is great about being an American. We can, like, this isn't a socialist country. We don't get freaking jealous because somebody else has the opportunity to go hunt a high fence. And when I say opportunity, that you nailed it, man. Not everybody has the money. Not everybody has the time to go do some public land hero shit. And so it doesn't matter because we're still, at the end of the day, we're all on the same team. And so I think what happens a lot, Chris, when like you post that big buck and somebody's like, "Oh, you were on the high fence, or you were on a high fence ranch, weren't you?" You know, just making this assumptive bullshit. What I think a lot of that is people get jealous. They've never shot a buck of that caliber. They're
never going to, probably.
They're never going to. They don't take the time to learn these animals and their habitat and their behavior and all these things that make it happen. And instead, they go out and shoot a spike out the window of their truck and you know, don't show it because everybody's afraid to, which I think is BS in itself. Like if you shoot a spike or a 2-point or something, don't be afraid to post it, man. Like dude,
you know what?
Freaking post that shit. I'll post a doe.
Go hunt. Right. Go hunt because you love to hunt.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And there's no reason to be disparaging other hunters or making accusations that, well, maybe they're hunting on a high fence. Well, who cares if they are? Who cares if they are? Like, we're all hunters. Right. We have a much bigger enemy than whether or not somebody hunts a high fence versus not. And I get it. I'm not a high fence guy either. And do I think that somebody gets a 400 class bull elk in a high fence area is on the same level as somebody who gets a 300 class bull elk on public land? No, I don't think that they're even in the same neighborhood. I think that is two totally different things. That does not mean that I think the guy that went and hunted in a high fence area is an asshole. It's just a totally different thing. People need to relax, quit getting jealous, quit acting like you are entitled to some big animal because you have a big, loud opinion on social media, and you have the right to tear somebody else apart based on assumptions and jealousy. And that's what bothers me, man. And that is what
don't be a pompous ass.
Yeah, exactly. Don't be a congressman.
You know what?
Don't be a pompous congressman on a keyboard.
We're all hunters, and at the end of the day, we need to support each other. We need to be in support of each other, because too many people are trying to take away the right that we have as providers for our family. And people can say, well, you can go to the store and buy whatever. Well, you know what? I have 4 deer in my freezer every year. Now, I give a lot of deer to other people, but I keep 4 deer a year.
Yep. And
we eat those deer. And yes, do we eat other meat? Absolutely we do. Obviously. I mean, you can't eat deer every meal.
Yeah.
But if I get a chance to go elk hunting, I kill an elk, we're eating elk meat. I've brought back Dall sheep. I've brought back caribou. We be eating all that. That's what we do.
People always have such a misconception with that, Chris. Like, I have a freezer full of wild game. Does that mean I don't go buy a ribeye from the grocery store? Hell no.
No.
I still go buy it. I just bought a whole hog from my buddy Tyler, who raises them, and it's the best hog. It's the best pork you'll ever get. And so it doesn't mean that we have some weird holistic thing where we only eat wild game meat. That's not what the goal is. It's all supplemental. We just have a lot of options. So. Well,
yes. And the other thing is does it save money at the end of the day? Yeah, absolutely it does.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I decide, you know what, we're not going to go buy anything this week. We're going to eat deer. Okay. Well, we're going to eat elk or whatever. I got it. I don't have to go buy it.
Yeah.
But if I fell on hard times, and none of us know when that could happen, we don't have a goal. We don't know what the outcome.
We don't know when the next COVID is. We don't know when the next layoff is. We don't know when the next. Let's say you get sick. Anything can happen.
I can go pull whatever I want out of the freezer and eat it, and it's there. And I love to hunt. Now, I love to hunt a more natural way, but I've got friends that have killed plenty of animals in high fences.
And they're still that's what you mean.
And I don't care. My opinion of them has never changed. They're still great people, and they're still good hunters. But they've done that. That's their privilege. That's what they want to do. You go do it and enjoy yourself. And you know what? Same thing with killing a spiked buck. How many of us? Yes, I've graduated to the point where I'm not going to shoot anything that's I want to kill a mature animal. Now, do I make a mistake every now and again? And I shoot, a 4.5-year-old deer when I thought maybe he was a 5.5-year-old, or I shoot a 3.5-year-old and I thought it was a 4 or 5-year-old deer. Yeah, absolutely. You know what? Because the animal turned me on at the time, and I shot the animal, and I enjoyed the hunt. It's not about what you kill. It's about how much fun do you have during the hunt.
What is the experience? Yes.
Did you enjoy the experience?
Yeah.
And if you enjoyed the experience, then quit judging it by the animal you kill and enjoy the experience by which it gave you. Because guess what? We don't have but so many freaking sunrises in this life.
I like you, Chris. I really like you, man.
We have so many sunrises in this life.
Exactly. And I have a buddy Mike Bozarth. He's been on the show before. And he really put this whole concept into perspective for me, where he said, at the end of the day, my trophy room is my freezer. And what I like about that is I'm like you, Chris. I will go after the most mature animal I can, especially when it comes to deer. I'm a pretty decent deer hunter. I don't think I'm Chris Parrish level, but I'm pretty decent. And
you haven't hunted with me yet. You might look a different direction if you did.
No. You wouldn't talk to me again if you went deer hunting with me, I'll bet. Yeah, you'd be like, no, that's stupid.
I love the whitetail. I love the whitetail hunt Idaho. I've never killed a whitetail in Idaho.
Oh man, well, come see me, man. Come see. I'd love to get you out here to get your perspective on hunting these mountain whitetail. They're so much fun, man. But the point is what I was trying to get before we get to that is like Mike was saying, my trophy room is my freezer. So what that tells me for me, what I'm going to do personally, and I will not be judged and disparaged and talked down to because of this. I am going to hunt for the most mature animal I can find, but if it comes down to the last 3 or 4 days of deer season, I'm shooting it. I will shoot whatever buck walks out in front of me. I'll shoot a doe because I want that freezer. I want that freezer full, and that is my priority. That is absolutely my priority. So, sorry, my phone keeps beeping, but
yeah, and we'll back up on the turkey part of it. You know what? I mean, I've been turkey hunting now this will be my 47th year, I think, turkey hunting now. Yeah, 47 years, roughly 47 years.
You spring chicken, you.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I'm not gonna purposely shoot a Jake anymore, just because of I want him to grow up to be an adult gobbler. But these people on social media beating somebody up because they shot a Jake.
You know
what, dude? This guy might not have but 2 days to hunt in his whole turkey hunting.
Or what if it's his first time going out? Like my daughters both shot Jakes last year. They were like, who cares?
It doesn't matter. You know what? Were they able to go out and enjoy the hunt and watch the sunrise and be in the environment and by which God created the earth?
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? At the end of time, that made a memory, and that memory can never be taken away from you.
Exactly.
And I don't give a crap what the animal is, and whether you shoot one or not is irrelevant at that point. But don't judge someone because they chose to do something, and that's not what you're going to do. You know what? You be your own person and keep your opinion to yourself.
Yep.
And I think that's the problem that we have with social media, Jim. That I like social media for a lot of aspects. I think it's wonderful for spreading the word and spreading the environment by which you and I choose to live in, and
just generally having a community of like-minded people. That's what I like about social media. Like you and I.
Right.
We're friends on Instagram. I get to see the stuff you post. You get to see the stuff we post. You live in Missouri. I live in Idaho. We have different types of cultural things and landscapes we live in. But in the grand scheme of things, you might as well be my neighbor because we have the same shared interests. And so that's what I love about it.
Right.
But what I hate about it is where you were going.
But keep it that way. But keep it that way.
Yeah.
Right. Don't be judgmental because somebody doesn't have the same opinion that you do.
Exactly.
Because we're all born with our own, hopefully, we're all born with our different mindsets. And we all can make our own judgment calls.
Yep.
And we have our own way of thinking. And, I mean, the world is not necessarily that way anymore. We're all, we've gone to a society where if certain news stations don't say something, then it's not the gospel.
Yeah.
So we've learned not to think for ourselves, and we need to learn to think for ourselves. And social media can take that away from us. We can stop thinking for ourselves and go, oh well, Joe Blow said we shouldn't do this, so I because he said that, I probably shouldn't do that. Well, you know what? That's an opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Go do what you enjoy doing and don't worry about somebody else's opinion. And that's what kept me from posting. I mean, I post a lot of stuff with my son. I post a lot of stuff family wise. I don't post a lot of stuff on my own about myself because I get tired of the judgmental ways that people think. It's like, and I'm not trying to be somebody I'm not in this world.
No, exactly. But what sucks about that, Chris, sorry if I cut you off there. I think we have a little bit of a delay here.
No, you're fine.
But what sucks about you being hesitant to post stuff is the people that just genuinely want to be your friend and experience things in your life and have you experience things in their life like you and I. Like, I want to see what you post, man. And I don't care if it's a doe And I don't care if it's a 200 class whitetail. I just want to see, hey, what's Chris up to? What's he got going on? Oh man, he got a great buck this year. Look at that sucker. That's where it's fun. But of course, just the nature of humans, the shit turns ugly. Like you said, oh man, if Fox News didn't say it, it didn't happen. Or if or MSNBC didn't say it, it didn't happen. We get into these echo chambers and these channels, this way of thinking where we're like in these channels, and we think everything should be done one way, and if it's not done the way that we think it should be, you're wrong. And that is what is wrong. That is what people don't realize. Their loud ass opinions and their loud proclamation of what is right and what is wrong, because it's their opinion, is what turns me off with people. And that's, man, I worry about what it's going to do to the future of hunting. I worry about what it's going to do to humanity. All the stuff, we all act like there's not this higher power, this designer of who we are as people. And like, it's just this narcissistic thing where, well, look at me. Oh, you did it differently than I did, so you're an asshole. That's the kind of stuff that bothers me. Yep.
You hit the nail on the head. The narcissistic way that people think.
Yeah. Yeah, man. It's like prevalent.
It's like, you know what? Be your own man, have your own opinion, and keep it to yourself. And if you really have something to say, make it private.
Yeah. Or make it positive. You don't have to be an asshole. Make them, hey,
exactly.
That doe is gonna eat great, man. That little
if you knew how many does I killed a year, you'd laugh.
Oh, I know I wouldn't, because I'd do it too.
I love it. I love shooting a doe. There ain't nothing makes me more happy than
you guys in the Midwest, you guys get like 6 tags out there, man. We don't have that. I wish we did. When I was in North Carolina,
Missouri,
they gave you 6 deer tags. What's that?
In Missouri, we get unlimited tags with a bow.
Oh man, that's crazy. Yeah, I'd be
shoot
doing
all
that
the does we want to shoot. Now, obviously, you can't. I mean, you can't eat but so many or give so many away. It's just part of it. I mean, you're not gonna but yeah, I mean, it used to be you could do the same thing with a gun, but we had EHD hit several times and that kind of thing. And and I get that. I totally get that. I mean. And the other thing, like management of game. I really wish that the Missouri Department of Conservation would understand that we do have a problem with coons. We do have a problem with predation when it comes to turkeys. We need to take and go to a 1 bird limit for our 3-week season and slow some things down and get this population built back up where we can bring these young hunters in and they have an opportunity to have a lot of turkeys to hunt.
Yeah.
And, because that's the way that you grow. That's the way that you grow. Well, you grow hunters, period, because they got to start somewhere, whether it's squirrel, whether it's whatever, but they got to start somewhere. And if they're going to turkey hunt, we need to get this population built back up. We need to have, so why not take a little school of thought from some of these other states like Kansas that said, hey, our turkey population's hurting. We're going to cut it from 2 birds to 1 bird.
Did Kansas actually do that? Or because I know my buddy Chris Rowe, he's always talking about like their turkey numbers are way down in comparison. So he flat out stopped booking. He'll guide turkey hunters out on the property he's managing. And so he cut it way down. And, because him and I and Guy, we've been doing this series called Is Hunting Conservation? And where hunting is not conservation is where we're like, okay, we understand the turkey population is struggling. It's way down. The predation is way up. But hey, I still want 2 turkey tags. I still want to go kill 2 turkeys. Well, at that point, is hunting actually conservation at that point? If you're wiping out more turkeys than the landscape can handle, that's where it becomes a problem. And that's where we have to find this balance. Why doesn't the state, if the turkey population is struggling, why doesn't the state say, okay, we're backing everybody back to 1 tag, and we're going to do a $35 bounty on all coyotes that you can take out and bring in. I don't know. Sometimes I think that maybe I do simplify that too much, but I think that when you're talking about the bureaucratic red tape of how the wheels spin in government programs through like fish and game agencies and legislation and whatnot, the water can get really muddy really fast. And so I hope they do that for you, man.
You know what? It should not be about the monetary value of things. It should be about the value of the animal.
But that's just not how the world works, and so it becomes a problem, right?
It does. It certainly does become a problem. And I think that we, as hunters, should use our voices to continue to try to be better at being stewards of the land.
Yeah. Like you were saying, instead of, if the state does offer 2 turkey tags and you know that turkey numbers are way down, instead of getting 2 turkey tags and killing 2 turkeys, just kill 1. Like I would do that in a heartbeat.
That's what I do in Missouri.
Yeah.
I mean, when I buy my turkey tags in Missouri, I automatically, and I bought them the other day, we don't open until Monday, but I bought them the other day. I get 2 turkey tags, but I look you in the eye, Jim, and I have not killed but 1 turkey every year for the last 3 years, and this will be my 4th year, and I won't shoot but 1 turkey here in Missouri.
Because you're a conservationist.
I feel like that. Could I go kill 2 turkeys? Yeah.
And sure, do you want to? Do you want to go kill 2 turkeys? Hell yeah.
No, I don't. I'll kill a turkey here.
You don't because of the numbers, right?
Yes, exactly.
If the numbers were better, you would want to go kill 2 turkeys.
Absolutely. If we had the numbers that we did in the 80s, sure, I'd go shoot another turkey and wouldn't think nothing about it. You know, I would not think a thing about it. But I'm at the point in my life where, do I need to shoot 2 turkeys? No. Do I want to? No. Do I think it's better for the turkey population not to? Yes.
Yeah.
So as a conservationist, as what I consider a true hunter, it's not about the numbers that I put on the ground. It's about what I do as a hunter to support the sport that I love.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And if I'm not supporting what I love to do and trying to give back as much as I take, then I feel like I'm not doing due diligence to what I love and what I grew up doing. Things were different when I was younger. You know, I grew up when we didn't have a lot of deer.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we killed deer, but we didn't have a lot of deer.
Yep. We had the same issue.
When I killed a buck, it was like, shoot, man, there was like, hell, it was a celebration at the Parrish residence, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's the way it was. And now, you know, my dad, you know, it's funny. My dad going to be 84 years old in July, and he'll call me up and he goes, "Hey, how'd you do?" I'm like, I killed a pretty good one. I got come over and look at him. I got him hanging in the tree out here. He's a 150-inch deer. He'll come over and he'll be like, "Yeah, that's a good deer." He's used to it.
Yeah.
He's gotten to the point where it's like, yeah, it's pretty common. You usually kill a deer like that.
That's great, man.
But I'm like, but that's really not common, Dad. That's really not the commonality.
It's a big deal. Like, no, I don't think I've never killed a 150-inch whitetail.
Well, you know, but we've gotten to the point where, you know, social media and TV has gotten us to the point where if a deer isn't a 160-inch deer or a turkey doesn't have 1.5-inch spurs, it's not a deal. It's like, wait a minute, why do we hunt?
Yeah, it is.
Why do we do this? Are we doing this because we want to be heroes, or are we doing this because we love the sport?
And it's taken it from, Chris, like where there is a new definition of what trophy hunting is nowadays versus what it was back in the 80s and 90s. You know, trophy hunting was a thing of like there was some like endearment to a trophy hunter back then, where today it's like this nasty word, oh, he's a trophy hunter, even though there's a lot of conservational benefits that come out of being a trophy hunter, and the connotation or the how people view what the term trophy hunting means. Now trophy hunting means, somebody who just goes and kills a big animal, and it goes to, it's like wanton waste kind of thing.
Yep.
Where, they're just killing the animal for the sake of killing and putting a trophy on the wall. No, that's not actually what a trophy hunting is. That's not what trophy hunting is in Africa. That's not what trophy hunting was here in North America. And so now the social media has really helped feed this lie of what trophy hunting is, when in reality, trophy hunting in its true definition is a conservation tool. But we don't see it that way.
Kill old animals.
Exactly. Kill the old mature animals. So anyway, Chris, let's do this, man. I think we started talking about that, but if you ever want to come to North Idaho and chase some mountain whitetail, hit me up, man. I'd love to have you out here. I
would love to do it. I've never hunted whitetails in Idaho. I've killed elk in Idaho.
Yeah.
And I've killed turkeys in Idaho, but I've never hunted a whitetail in Idaho. So that would be awesome.
Because it's so steep and brushy here, we have some absolute monsters up here, and they're so difficult to get to. They're so difficult to. Well, for me, I feel like if we went out, you and I together, and you had my knowledge of the terrain and your knowledge of whitetail, we could be pretty dangerous. And so
I like that. I like that thought. That's a good thought.
Yeah, man. I'll take it. Anytime you want to. So, real quick, let me run through some. I just want to mention a couple of sponsors, guys, real quick. Hoffman Boots. Check out Hoffman Boots at hoffmanboots.com. Use promo code Huntsman10, all caps lock, for 10% off. The best hunting mountain boots that you will ever find in your life. And I'm not kidding you. Again, that is hoffmanboots.com. Use promo code Huntsman10. The other one, guys, we just partnered with Silencer Central. They make the suppressor, silencers for all sorts of different weapons. What I really like about these guys, if you guys go back and listen to the episode I had with the CEO, Brandon Maddox, he really explains this in detail as to why they are so beneficial. But if you want to basically disorient the sound as to where these animals, or when, for example, you're hunting two coyotes. You've got two coyotes coming in, and you want to try to get both of them. You've got an AR-15. You put a suppressor on that, and you shoot the first coyote. That second coyote is not going to know where that sound just came from, and you have a really good shot at getting that second one. That's what I personally really like about these. But the Silencer Central in particular really make the process easy. You could ship the rifle or gun, weapon right to them. They do the licensing for you. They take care of everything. All you have to do is pay the bill, and you can even do, it's like an in-house financing on this. So it's a really cool program, guys. Check it out. Tell them you heard it on the Western Huntsman podcast. I'd really appreciate that. But it's a great company. And last but not least, what is a turkey episode without mentioning Phelps? I've got the box call right here. Really good products over there. I've got Chris Parrish here on the line that is one of the makers of some of these turkey calls for Phelps. And you guys know I'm a huge fan of Phelps game calls, so always go check them out. Use promo code Huntsman10 and get your turkey calls. Folks, quit messing around. Turkey season is here. So, Chris, thanks for bearing with me for a minute.
Absolutely.
I would love to get you back on the show to talk whitetail, and then we're going to line it up so that we go whitetail hunting here in the mountains in North Idaho. I really appreciate you joining me on this episode. That was a really fun discussion. Dirk said that I would like you, and that was an understatement.
Well, good. That's good.
I really appreciate it, brother. Stick on the line for just a minute and tell everybody where they can find you, by the way, on social media, whatever.
You can go to Instagram. I think it's, I can't even remember.
I got it right here. Chris _Parrish _turkey.
Yep.
Folks listening, it'll be in the show notes. So just click on that and you can follow Chris.
Yep. And then you can go to Chris Parrish on Facebook. So that's easy to find. Obviously you can, if somebody needs to reach me, they can get a hold of Jason or Dirk, and they've got my contact information as well. And so, yeah, I mean, I just, man, I love to hunt. I love to be out the outdoors, and I just wish everybody a lot of good luck and be safe out there. And be careful and support the sport that we love.
Perfect, man. I love it. Well, thanks again for joining me. And again, we're going to do this again, brother, for sure.
Sounds good, man. I'm looking forward to it.
You made it. That's the end of the episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please make sure you're following us on Instagram at The Western Huntsman and write us a good review at Apple Podcasts. Thanks, guys. See you next time. Stay Western, and I'll see you on